Hello and welcome to FHP, more formally known as the Football Home Podcast, where there's a group of friends from all around the world talking about a sport we all love, which is football. Okay, we're going to be talking about what happened in the English Premier League's Game Week 11. So much to talk about. There's been so many amazing moments, especially for us boys in red, which I thought was an impossible feat to accomplish. But yeah, we'll chat about that at a later point. Uh, So we're done with the welcoming. Oh, geez, I'm going to be a bit scrappy at this because it's been a long time. We've had a new interim host in Harry's been doing such a good job. So yeah, still need to get the hang of it. Okay, guess with that we'll jump on to the first game of Game Week 11, which is the Brentford versus Brighton game. I know Warren, you've been one to say that Brentford has been one of your guilty pleasures this season,
Yeah,
and we saw Ivan Tony score two goals. What are your thoughts on Ivan Tony? Like, is he really back to form? Because he's been someone that's been iffy lately. And do you think that he's actually back with the one penalty and then one goal he scored in this game, which was crucial?
yeah, I think it's kind of like it's been a hit and miss with him. Couple of games where he's off, but I mean every player goes through that. That
Yeah,
then there's certain games that just depending on the formation of the opposing team, then the defense is very narrow, very deep. Then you can't get into those pockets easily to score. But I think he's Brentford's biggest asset at this moment because he's the one getting forward, getting into that third end of the pitch and getting
yeah,
those goals. And he's on free kicks, he's on penalties. So I mean, he's the third top striker, I guess, in goals this season so far for the Golden Boot. So I mean, he's behind the Harry Kane. So that says a lot. So yeah, I think he's still kind of amazing. And if you add him into your FPL, then even better because he's raking in the points. So yeah, I think Brentford lost a lot with Eriksen leaving, but they
mm,
gained a lot with the people that I still have, and Tony's a key factor. I mean, there's other people also there, but I mean, Tony's the one person that you can depend on that's going to get you over the line.
yeah. Absolutely agree with that. And looking at how the game went, you'd actually be surprised that Brighton actually had 72% of the possession throughout the game, and then Brentford had only about 27.5% of the possession, and they somehow was able to score two goals. Andreas, what do you think? Do you think that maybe Potter, obviously him being at Chelsea now, how do you think that has sort of like affected the way Brighton play? I mean, they're still a decent side, but it's actually a shock that they were able to lose 2-0 to a team like in Brentford that looked out of form for a long time. Do you think maybe the change in manager contributed to this loss potentially, or it was just that day at the office?
Yeah. I think we have talked about this in the past that like how I think the big question with Brighton is how much was Potter a part of
Yes.
making Brighton what they are now, and I think that's going to be a really interesting thing to see. Um, like how much did he affect it, and it like was it just him or is it just the entire team that has evolved? And I think that's right now it's like last week it looked like okay maybe it's the team as Brighton, but right now it looks like he had a really big part as well. And like
Mm.
just even the stats there with how much possession they had, but Brentford is winning 2-0. That's really crazy. And I think that's like if I had to compare it a little bit to Chelsea, I think it's really interesting just to see how much we have scored
Yeah.
since he joined us. And I think that's what Brighton are lacking right now. They have a great squad, have a lot of possession, but they're not scoring the goals right now. And I think that's the big thing with them. With Brentford, I think Tony is like as Warren said, amazing. I think there's a lot of great players for Brentford, but I think Tony in particular is at least the striker that they needed. And yeah, so that's great to see for them. And I think Brentford is going to continue having a great season.
Yeah, and I mean it's amazing that both teams are actually still in the top half of the English Premier League at this point. So congratulations to them. Now we'll go to our next game, which is the Leicester versus Crystal Palace game. There were no goals from each team. Just from looking at the stats, Leicester actually dominated a lot of the game in terms of position, the amount of shots on target, which is five, and then Crystal Palace only had one shot on target. So, this game could have very much easily ended in Leicester winning the game. But again, I think it's a matter of just lacking the clinicality. And, funny enough, the most important players for Leicester, which is Jamie Vardy and Madison, both got yellow cards at the end of the game. So it's like, Warren, what do you think of this sad spell for Leicester? Because, it's a must-win game.
Everybody was going on about how Leicester's got the most ideal fixtures coming up to the World Cup, besides City that they face in 2 weeks' time. But
But
but they not, this is the games that they're supposed to win. This is the
yes,
games where you build your points up. They're still in the bottom two, bottom three, bottom two.
20th place, yeah.
And yes, and it's such a shame because you've got Barnes, you've got Vardy, you've got Madison getting the yellow, unnecessary dive. He gets the yellow for simulation. If he's suspended, he can't play in the next game week, and that is gonna hurt them because Vardy can't score to save his life. I think it comes with age or something like that. But
Yeah.
I'm fearing for Leicester. I really do. I've said it at the beginning. Leicester is in a rut at the moment, and unlike other teams that we've seen bounce back from their dry spells, I feel like Leicester got that one win over Forest, and that's it. That's is in. I mean, it's Forest. I mean, come on.
19th place, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess, yeah.
Yeah, quickly with this match, I think what's most crazy for me with this match is the fact that Leicester did not score any goals and they did not concede any goals. Like that's to me the craziest part, because Leicester has scored a lot of goals. They really have, especially Madison, but they have conceded way more than that. So having a match where they are not doing any of that, that's honestly the most crazy thing for me with this match. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Ward really helped them out, but again, there was only like one shot on target, so we can't give him all the credit in terms of, obviously him replacing Schmeichel as well. So I guess that's not a factor to talk about in this game. But yeah, Leicester need to change something, or they will be relegated. Maybe they might actually think of getting who's the name of the relegation manager, Big Sam, to help them
Yeah.
out. Yeah. Okay, I guess with that, we'll jump to our next game, which is the Wolves versus Nottingham Forest game, with Wolves winning by one goal by Ruben Neves, who's someone that we
Excuse
haven't
me.
been seeing scoring in a long time. So it's nice to see him back in the groove. And, one thing we've been saying about Wolves is that you can't win a game unless you can score a goal, and they haven't been scoring goal in a lot of their matches. But again, it comes to the conversation of it's Nottingham Forest. They're not the best team this season. Yes, they put in the effort to fight, but they're just not it. Warren, what do you think about this win for Wolves? Is it saying that they're a better team, or it's just that they were facing a weaker opposition?
Yeah, I think it's they face Forest, and I feel like if you get like Forest, there's only one against West Ham so far. That's it. And Villa, they've lost again. They drew with Villa, and I guess they won against West Ham. I think that's the only points that they got so far. And then um, it's just excuse me, I've got a little tinkle in my throat.
No
Um,
problem.
the fact that Wolves scored from a penalty. It was a penalty that was you
Yes.
conceded and they scored. So I mean, you can go two ways about it. Yes, they got a goal, but it was as a result of a penalty. So
Play.
had that foul not happened in the 10-yard box, then maybe not, there would have been a draw. Good for Wolves that they managed to get themselves out of the relegation zone, and they're now number 17 on the log.
Yes.
Maybe this is gonna give them the momentum, and Saar saving the in the
Man of the
second
match.
half the other, yeah, because he saved the penalty from the from Forest. It's
Yeah.
kind of ironic because Henderson is the penalty saver this season. Um, so yeah, that was kind of cool. I would love for this to be Wolves' turnaround in the league, so that they can get to where they were, because they finished like eighth last season. So I mean, it's kind of weird that they is 17th right now, but I mean it's still a long season to go. So we'll let's see what happens. Maybe this was the the
Turning
push
point.
that they needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just Andreas. So obviously, with Diego Costa being someone that's played for Chelsea, and you've known his
Mm,
impact in a
mm,
team. Obviously, with him not scoring this game, which is what we said, that's what Wolves need, someone that can at least score one or two goals to give them that win, because that's the only thing they're lacking.
mm.
Defensively, they're good, but it's their attack that's a problem. What do you think his influence is, and does he need time? Even though he's someone that's played in the Premier League before, what do you think is happening with Diego Costa?
I think it's time. Like I think he needs time. I've watched Wolves game, and in particular, I watched the first game where he came on for the first time for Wolves, and that
Mm.
was like just watching how much he. I said it on the podcast for that week when it happened, seeing how much he affected the team. Like when he went back, the rest of the team went back. When he went forward, the rest of the team went forward. It was so clear how big and a person he is for the team. So I think it's time, but I also think that it's kind of like as good as it is that they have him, it's as big a problem as well in some ways because they need him to score. He is the one to score these goals. They've scored 4 goals so far this season. Um,
That's crazy.
that's really crazy, and therefore they really need Costa to be that guy to do that. So if he end up not being a success, then that's a huge problem for Wolf, especially offensive. But I think he will. I think he's just coming back to the Premier League. He's of course older than he was last time he played in Premier League. So like it takes time, and it's also a whole new team that he needs to learn to play with. And so I'm confident that it would work. But I would also say that if it doesn't work, then I think they will get relegated because he's their biggest chance of scoring goals.
Yeah, good point. And another thing we can try chat briefly about is should the current manager of Wolves be sacked? There has been some rumors that Sando will be coming back as manager potentially. Should he say yes? And if he does say yes, what do you guys think his impact will be? Warren, we'll start with you.
Are you talking about Wolves' manager?
Yeah,
Yes, potentially getting sacked with these bad results.
But he
Espirito
got
Santo.
sacked.
yeah. I think he got sacked, didn't he?
He got sacked already.
Yeah,
Bruno Lage
Oh,
got sacked 2 weeks ago.
I think
So
so.
yeah,
okay.
so they're still waiting for. They've got an interim manager right now, I think. So yeah, there's rumors that guy's gonna come in, but
Santo, yeah.
yes, but I mean, it hasn't been announced. It's been 3 weeks now, so maybe on Saturday or before the next game week, we'll know more. But I mean, I don't know. I think Wolves need somebody like I don't want to toot my own horn here, but like Klopp, or they need a manager that's going to grab them by
Reform.
the kahunas and push them, because I feel like they are so set in their ways right now. So yeah, I don't know if if that guy's going to be the right fit for Wolves. To be honest, that's just my opinion.
I get that, but I think Nuno, that's his name, right? Nuno.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
he was the guy that got them to 7, 8 place the season where they were there,
Yes.
and that's why he got to Spurs because what he did for Wolves was so amazingly. So again, what you were saying, Warren, and I can see that he's maybe too nice in a way, but I do think that I do think it's worth giving it a try at least because of how much he did for Wolves as a team. So I think it's a good idea to at least give him a chance to show it, that he can maybe do that again. Yeah, because Wolf, like, he really was a big part of making them what they were. So
Mm.
yeah.
Mm.
I guess with that, we'll jump on to the 2-all draw with Fulham against Bournemouth. This was quite an interesting game because statistically, Fulham had a majority position of about 70% in the game. And There's something interesting with the conversion in terms of total shots and shots on target. I think Fulham had about 20% of their shots on target, while Bournemouth had about 60% of their shots on target. And then it ended as a 2-2 draw for both teams. Um, Mitro's on fire. I guess he's back, even though he scored a penalty. Hopefully, that gives him the confidence he needs, because I think Andreas had voiced out in previous episodes that Fulham is mostly a Mitrovic dominated team. If he's not playing, then they're likely not going to do well. And if he's on, you can see his impact. Andreas, what are your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think you're saying it spot on. Like it's really interesting to see that the game that he is in again, maybe he scores on penalty, maybe the other goal is not him scoring. I get all that, but it's
Yeah.
really interesting to see that as soon as he back, they score two goals. I think that's really really interesting. And also, like, if you had told me that there would be four goals in this game, I would have said you were crazy. Like that is
Yeah.
a lot. And also just like two teams that just got promoted back to Premier League.
They
I
know
think
each other.
that's really really like I think it's really really fun to see how great they're both doing, and I think Bournemouth as well is doing amazingly with Billing, the Danish legend, of course, on that team. I think they're doing great, and I think Fulham is going to be great now again with Mitrovic back. I think it was a really fun game, and just again like seeing two teams like this just come back to Premier League and just do stuff like this. That's great to see.
Yeah, and Bournemouth is about 11th place at this point, and then Fulham is 12th place after the 2-0 draw. Warren, what do you think of Bournemouth? What does this game mean
Yeah,
for them?
Bournemouth has impressed me. Like I said in the previous podcast, like after the Liverpool thrashing, I didn't think that team would come back. But I mean, this new interim manager, Gary O'Neill, has done amazing work with him, and I mean, they scored within the first minute. That's impressive, like for Bournemouth. And I think between the three promoted teams, Bournemouth and Fulham has the potential to stay up. Where I feel like Nottingham Forest, I mean, it's still early, but I don't see them surviving unless something drastic changes. But back to the game, I think Dominic Solanke is a key player for Bournemouth, and then you've got Philip Billing, that is I was so tempted to bring him into my FPL this week, but I was like, and I changed my mind at the last second. Watch me regret that. But yeah, I think Bournemouth is doing an amazing job. They were actually eighth at the end of the game. At the end of Saturday, they were eighth on the league. Obviously, they dropped now a couple of points because other teams went up ahead. But I think it's. I think they should just keep hold on to this momentum that they've got. Even though they've been getting draws, it's small victories like this that's going to just push them into the right direction, which they're going up. And Yeah, I've been impressed with both teams. Fulham, um, Mitrovic wasn't at his 100% because he's still
Yeah,
nursing that injury, but even so, they were still in. Andreas Ferreira is also like doing
assist.
amazing
Yeah,
with his assists, with his free kicks, with his corners. So this is the two teams. I mean, I like watching Forest, but this is the two teams that I feel like is going to really, really try their utmost to stay
Hmm.
in the Premier League for another season going. And I think if they can do that, if they can stay up in the top tier league, then it's gonna give them that confidence to just keep pushing. So yeah, I'm pretty much. It was an enjoyable match.
Also
yeah,
quickly with Fulham, when I watched the match, I didn't even realize that, but watching the match, it was so clear to me how many great players they actually have. Like we're talking about Mitrovic being the main guy for them, and that makes sense and all that kind of stuff. But like they have some really great players. Willian as
yeah,
well. He has not been the greatest yet, but like they actually have a really really good squad. And that's of course a really good thing. They are depending way too much on Mitrovic at this very moment, but I think maybe with time, when they are going to play more together, I think we can see others of that great team actually. to be more important to the team because they really have some great players.
Yeah, I mean, they actually had Fabio Carvalho, who's now at Liverpool, and he was a very important number 10 for them and really helped Mitrovic get those, I think, 44 goals from the.
47. 47.
Yes. Yeah, so they really lost someone that was impactful for them. But I
Yeah,
think
but just
Mitrovic.
Andreas as well, and Andreas starting to become really important for them.
Of
Like,
course,
And
you
he's
named
scoring goals.
great to see.
You're tooting your horn.
I can't help it.
Okay, I guess with that, we'll jump on to the game that Spurs dominated. I mean, it's just Everton had zero shots on target. That's how bad this game really was. Like, Everton, Spurs are a team that just never dominate possession, and this time they actually did, which is unlike them. They had about 60% of the ball. They had 7 shots on targets. Everton had 0 shots on target. Obviously, we saw Harry Kane score the penalty to give them the first lead in the second half, and then we saw the two central defensive midfielders of Tottenham, where Benteke assisted Højbjerg, who's one of my favorite players this season, especially in the midfield. So much impact. He's got so many goals to help Spurs be where they are today. So, Warren, I guess I'll start with you. What does this mean for Tottenham?
Tottenham is the one team I think that hasn't lost the game.
Yeah.
I don't think they've lost yet.
They've lost one
Besides
game.
us, they've lost.
One game, and then they draw 2 games, and then they won 7.
I can't remember them losing, but anyway, I think they've drawn and they've won. I don't remember Tottenham losing, but anyway,
yeah.
Okay, yeah, maybe, but yeah. So Spurs is on another level this season. I feel like all the Conte's not really that interested in Champions League. I think he wants the Premier League. That's the idea that I'm getting. It was kind of weird seeing Richarlison play against this old team, and then he gets injured. He's in crutches right now, so I don't know what they're gonna do now with Richarlison out. Kulashevsky's out with injury, so there's so many injuries happening right now before the World Cup. It's crazy. But I was surprised that the scoreline was 2-0. I expected more goals, especially because they dominated. But Everton's defense is also like on point. I mean, at one point, Conor Cody had a bloody nose or something. So it's just yeah, they are a joy to watch. Then Dyer, Son, Kane. It's just a impressive squad that Conte has at his disposal right now, and even the bench. Lucas Moura is back. So I mean, it's amazing what they've done, and even if they've, like you guys say, lost one game, I think they're doing well. They're doing really well, and they've got a chance to stay in the top 4.
I mean, Spurs are.
Spurs is like Spurs should have won this match, and they did. So like, there's nothing like. I'm not shocked about that, but I agree. I would have expected more goals, to be honest. But I think also just looking at the match, it's interesting that Spurs is like they are hitting any way possible. Possession, they are better. Shots on target, shots, touches, passes, tackles, corners, every way possible, they're better. The only thing where Everton is actually better, that's clearances. That's the only thing, and that doesn't really matter. But it's just to show how much better Spurs is, and they should be. So there's nothing like, it's not shocking, but you could have said more goals. I think that's a fair thing to have said. Okay, maybe Spurs should have scored more. But I mean, it's a win. It's without conceding any goals. That's great. So yeah, Spurs is just on a great one in Premier League right now. But I mean, it's a win. It's a.
Yeah, I think in my opinion, it was nice seeing some of these Everton players like Richarlison obviously get injured. I mean, I know his son's morbid, and seeing Cody just bleed because obviously he's someone that betrayed the Reds to go to the opposite Merseyside.
They didn't even offer him a spot in the team. I mean, why are people saying that Cody betrayed Liverpool? Like, it's just, Like I don't know. I don't get that. Sorry, I don't get that. He didn't betray Liverpool. Didn't even put in the offer for him, so they can't say that he betrayed them. He wanted to be closer to his family that stays in the Everton region. So I mean, in Merseyside region. So what's the problem?
Well, and don't argue with football fans. They're crazy. You know that. You know they're
Oh my
crazy.
goodness, this is the
Sorry, I
stupidest
just
thing.
like seeing
Sorry.
people in blue just bleed for no reason. Okay, I guess with that we'll jump on to the next game, which is the Southampton versus West Ham game, which um, sorry about that. Which was 1-1 draw. Obviously, we saw Declan Rice, who is someone that I feel like has lost his whole mojo. I mean, previous season, people wanted to buy him for about 100 million, 150 million. You know, he's one of the best midfielders, on the most expensive midfielders in the market. Again, I feel like David Moyes has a really hard time with his team. They just lack the identity they had last season. I mean, West Ham were one of the most feared teams. Like, if you're Liverpool, if you're City, and you're facing this team, you know you're most likely going to either get away with a draw or potentially lose. Obviously, they gave us a huge defeat at Anfield at some point. So, jeez, I don't know what to
No,
say.
they won at their
Team ground.
they were the home team that beat Liverpool. Liverpool lost their first game of the Premier League against West Ham in
Oh,
November
I see.
last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Andres, what do you think? What do you think is the weakness for West Ham United at this point? Because it's just a sobby, sad story.
Uh, if you had asked me about Leicester, if you had asked me about Wolf, all those kind of teams, I would have give you a really clear reason, but I really don't have it with West Ham, to be honest. And I think that's probably what's the most worrying thing, that it's like it's kind of difficult to say what the actual problem is. Um, someone could say, okay, maybe it's because they have conference as well, but they had that last season as well. So and that was just Europa. That was even better. So that's not a good argument. And like, yeah, it's really difficult to say. I think it's my only thing can be that it's like it's I don't think they had the best transfer window, if I'm not mistaken,
Right?
and
Yeah.
I think a lot of other teams have improved a lot in that. So maybe that's the thing. But I feel like West Ham as a team is still too good to be where they are right now. So I'm honestly kind of confused. But my money will be on the transfer window not being good enough, and maybe them just, there always are these teams where when they have had great season, then they get to a point where it just doesn't work, and that's West Ham, Leicester, Wolf right now. So maybe it's just a mix of not new signings and just the team kind of becoming stale in playing together. Yeah.
And then just looking at Southampton, Warren. I mean,
Hmm.
in this game they had more shots on target than West Ham, and they still couldn't go home with the win. And on average, they concede twice the amount of goals they score. So, what do you think that means for Southampton and their possible longevity in the league, given that they're on 18th place?
I just feel like Southampton has lost their killer instinct. Um, they were one of those teams that you feared going against. I mean, even they held Man City twice last season, twice.
At some point too, yeah.
And Chelsea, they were forced. Even Tottenham, they couldn't get past Southampton. So they had the potential to block big teams and show, look, we're here to give up a fight. But I feel like there is nothing. It's just like they're hanging on by. I mean, you don't even hear about James Ward-Prowse in the games. Where is he? Like, what's happening? I think they lost a good keeper as well, even though they've got a younger person in the behind the between the sticks right now. I just feel like, again, like with West Ham, transfer window wasn't good for them, and they're suffering. So hopefully, I mean, I don't know if January is going to be too late for them to really, really, tighten up some of those loose areas. Um, because I'm worried about that team, Southampton, because they like teetering at the bottom now.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
also with West Ham, they had 60.9% of possession, and Southampton had 39.1%. So that that's what's really interesting. West Ham having so much possession, but Southampton having more shots on target. That's interesting. But I also have a quick question to you guys. Which of these two teams are you most worried about? Like, if you had to pick one that you think, okay, this team is really, really, really going to struggle. Which one are you more worried about?
Southampton.
Be in trouble for Southampton. Same Richard for you.
Yeah, I mean, look, West Ham are also playing in European
Mm.
competition, so I guess that can be an excuse given the amount of games they have and for the squad depth they have. So I think maybe they have an excuse, but Southampton, I really don't understand like really what's happening. I mean, the manager really knows the team well, so why aren't they performing?
Yeah.
But I feel like West Ham, they've got the firepower now. Even though we've been saying, the transfer window wasn't good, but they've got Paqueta, they've got
Bowen,
Skamaka, they've got
right?
Bowen, they've got Antonio, they've got Rice, they've got Ben Rama, they've got
Mm.
Lanzini. Where's all these people? Why don't we hear about them? Where's Fornells? I mean, you've got goals. They've got the firepower. They've got the arsenal in
Exactly.
their squad.
And
So I
that's
feel like
what I'm worried about.
if you measure the two teams up against each other in terms of squad depth,
Yeah.
West Ham has it in bucket loads,
No.
and Southampton just doesn't. They've got Shea Adams, they've got the two Armstrongs, they've got James Ward-Prowse, and I mean, but there's no goals really.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so difficult, because what is West Ham's problem? It's so difficult to say, because surely they did not have the best transfer, but they still have amazing players. So it really is difficult to see the problem. I do think Wise is starting to get better though, but it's going very slow, and not at all on the level he was last year. And but
Hmm.
yeah, that really is the big problem with West Ham, because they have all the players. It's just not what it used to be for some reason.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess with that, we'll jump on to the next game, which is the Man United game versus Newcastle game. I was really hoping Man United loses this game, and I was really hoping Newcastle, who is, I mean, Warren's new guilty pleasure, for them to win. But
I've got so many new guilty pleasures this season to
so
watch.
many. I was just hoping that they win, but unfortunately, they didn't come out with 3 points. And I think 1 point for a team like Newcastle against Man United is a really good motivator in terms of how they can perform against a team with really all-star players. Like they have Casemiro, they have Ronaldo, they have Bruno Fernandes.
Mm.
Statistically, Man United dominated the game. Both teams had two shots on target, and then Man United had more shots in general. So it seemed like just from generally speaking, Man United kind of dominated the game. But I mean, I'm happy that Newcastle was able to get away with 1 point. What do you think
Mm.
happened in this game? Did Man United lose? Was it Man United's game to lose, or was it Newcastle's to win? Warren.
It's a toss-up because the game was interesting to watch, and I have to give Man United the props when it comes to defense and with what Ten Hag has done. I know Maguire's injured and all that stuff, but the defense Varane and those people, they are really doing an amazing. Martinez, even with his short stature, he is proving people wrong. So, but from Man United's point of view, I feel like I expected goals and they were just weren't coming. And from Newcastle, I also expected goals because they've been on such a good run with Almiron and Wilson is back and um, Bruno and Trippier with the free kicks, and it was one of those games where any team would have won had the ball just gone through. It was just not happening, but entertaining. And I mean, Newcastle held Man City to a draw as well. So I mean, it shouldn't come to a surprise that they could keep Man United at bay. But they should actually just fill in their cap because not a lot of teams have lost to Man United besides Liverpool and the first the first two games. But anyway, moving swiftly along. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Give praise to Man United that they defensively stood strong. Um, this was also a game with lots of injuries and stuff with Fabian Shaw and people going down, and it's just one of those periods in football right now where in their mother is getting injured. But
Yeah,
yeah, glad that Newcastle could get a point.
exactly.
They're one of the teams to watch, I feel like.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah. I think I actually expected Newcastle to win, to be honest.
Yeah,
Um, because I really feel like Newcastle is really really good, but I also think that Newcastle being that good is kind of why United won. Because if you look at it, United is they are a good team, but they also have their problems for sure. But when they go out against these teams, Arsenal is the greatest example of this great team where United know, okay, we are going to go out against this great team. We have to do our absolute best. And when they know they have those opponents, they really, really deliver. And that's what they did here. Every possible stat, United is winning in this match. And that just shows that this was United's match. But at the same time, Newcastle is a great team, and defensively, Newcastle is spot on this season. And I honestly think that's why it ended 0-0, because United is best in every kind of stat, but when it comes to defense, Newcastle is still that level good that United was not able to score.
and Newcastle, sorry, Man United is the only team to defeat Arsenal,
Yeah, yeah,
and they're at the top. Just think
yeah.
about that.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll come to another stat soon at the end of this podcast.
okay.
So I'll just leave it at
We
that.
We have a comment from our biggest fan of the podcast. I'm going to show it just now, and he says Ronaldo is finished. I think this is something we need to talk about.
Our
Like,
biggest fan.
and I like his badge too, or he or she.
He's
I don't, I
probably our
don't,
only fan, to be honest, but that's
I
another
don't,
thing.
I don't agree with that comment. I don't think Ronaldo's finished at all. I don't think so. I just
I
don't
think
think
that's a bad
he.
fan. We need to get some better fans.
No, I don't agree with that. Um, I don't. He hasn't been given. I've said it in past podcasts as well. Ronaldo hasn't been given the chances. I mean, he doesn't get. I mean, he started on Sunday. Yes, granted, he did get started. And he didn't get a goal in, but I mean, it was Newcastle.
Mm.
But at the other hand, he came on the previous game week, scored 700 goal. He was barely on for how many minutes and scored. So I'm just saying that Ten Hag is not giving Ronaldo the chances to perform. So how can you say he's finished?
I think quickly, I will say with that I agree. I don't think Ronaldo's finished, but I think he's finished in United. And what I mean by that is that no matter if you're
Yeah,
Ronaldo, no matter how great you are, mentality means everything in football. Sadly,
Yep.
Timo Werner is a really, really great example of that. A great player, but mentality was not there. So it didn't end up working. And I really think that's the case with Ronaldo. Ronaldo doesn't want to be in United. United has other plans now with Anthony and all these other great young players.
Ronaldo wants to play Champions League, plain and
Exactly. And
simple.
so I think it's like it's both United that don't need or want him, and him that don't need or want United. And I think therefore mentality just means a lot, and he's not in the mental state where he is like great right now. And but I don't think that's because he can't do it anymore. I just don't think that United and Ronaldo is the best fit for any of them. And I think I have said that before actually. But yeah,
Yeah.
I really think it's not any of them being bad, or Ten Hag not being stupid for not playing Ronaldo. I don't think it's any of that. They just don't fit each other as it is right now. So I think the best thing is that they go their separate ways in January.
yeah. And I guess with that, we'll jump on to the next game, which is Leeds versus Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal are just performing well this season. They've won 9 games and only lost one game, which was, as we previously talked about, to Man
United.
United. This game was actually interesting if you look at it statistically. I mean, even though both teams had almost about an equal amount of possession, both teams had 4 shots on target, but Leeds had a total of 16 shots, while Arsenal had almost half that, which is like at 9. And what does that kind of say of what happened in the game? Because it's almost like there is a potential that this game could have easily ended in a potentially 0-0 or 1-1. Is it saying that maybe there's something wrong with Arsenal's performance, or is it a bad day, or Leeds was just quite good in this game? Uh,
Um, I think that Leeds gave Arsenal a run for their money. To be honest, if you look at what happened in the game, also most of the tackles and the yellow cards and stuff went to Arsenal. So that tells you a lot because Leeds and the amount of saves between Melia and Ramsdale. Melia had 3, Ramsdale had 4. And if it wasn't for Saliba gave a penalty away,
hmm.
and had Bamford gotten that penalty in, it would have equalized with Bukayo Saka's goal. It would have been 1-1. I feel like Leeds had the game right there, and they couldn't close the deal. Um, Arsenal is not unbeatable. We've seen that. But right now, I feel like Arsenal, once they get to where they have to face City and what other team is there? They must still face Newcastle. We'll see how Arsenal does, but
Chelsea.
yeah, Chelsea, yeah, Chelsea's on a massive roll right now, so we'll get to that. But Arsenal is not untouchable, to be honest. They're not. I feel like there's certain games where they got really, really lucky with decisions that were made for them.
Especially with Liverpool,
Um, Yes, yeah. I mean, I'm still salty about that. And even though I said preseason that Arsenal might be the team to be careful for, they have the potential to go all the way. Surely looks like this now. But let's see what happens. I mean, yes, it was just touch and go, and I feel like Leeds had the game, the 1 point in their hand, and they just couldn't get it done. And I think it's indicative where Leeds is right now as a team and where Arsenal is.
Yeah. I think with Arsenal, I think what we have talked about it many times. But I think the big thing with Arsenal is how will they perform against the big teams, City, Chelsea, all those kind of things. And we saw it against United where it was really bad. But I
And
think
then,
that's really the thing where you need to see Arsenal against them before we can really talk about can Arsenal win, can they not win. And I think those matches, United was just one example. There will be more examples. So I'm not convinced that Arsenal cannot win, but I need to see them against those teams. Right now, I don't think Arsenal can win the league, but again, I will have to wait to see them face those teams. And I think with what you asked, Richard, was if this was Leeds being really good or Arsenal being bad. I think it's a mix, honestly, because Leeds is Leeds at I've said this multiple times. Leeds as its worst is really really bad, but Leeds as its best is really really good. And I think that's what we're seeing here. Leeds can go out and actually has a really really good match against a really really good Arsenal team. And I think that just shows that Leeds on a good day can really do damage to a good team like Arsenal. But I do think Arsenal was lacking something as well. I think Arsenal on their absolute best day should be able to win more convincingly against Leeds. And also, lastly, with Arsenal, I think even though they could have been better, I do think it's important to look at that defense and see that they did get a clean sheet, and they have been pretty good at that, if I'm not mistaken, this season.
yeah, you're right.
So yeah, I think Arsenal's defense is really something that we need to talk more about in a way because I think they're doing a great job.
Yeah, I mean, just to talk about it more, Leeds had about 16 shots on targets and 6 corners, and then Arsenal had to make about 17 clearances. So it really shows that Leeds were giving it to them, and it's just unfortunate. I love Jesse Marsh so much. I think maybe at least going home with at least 1 point would have been deserving. But we have another comment from one of our favorite subscribers again, which is he says, "Quick question: would you rather City or Arsenal win the league, and why?"
You want to
Um,
start, Ron?
and Andreas,
Okay.
you want to go first? City or Arsenal? Which one would you prefer to win the season?
Which one of
Yeah,
us? Me? Okay, I
Andreas.
can
Yeah.
start. I start. Yeah, okay, I start. So what I want or what I think? What I want, I guess. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. You were
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, okay. So is it what I want or what I think? It's what I want, right?
Either way, I guess.
Okay, okay, yeah. What I would you rather? So I guess it's what I want.
Yeah.
City. I'm sorry, but City. Uh, I don't I don't have a problem with City winning a trophy. Like I don't. I don't want them to win both Premier League and Champions League. Only one of them. But I mean, I feel like I know that it's oil money and it's all this kind of stuff. But they have a great team, and I think I know, of course, they have this great team because they got all of them and they signed all of them. I get that. But I think City really has a great squad. And when you have a great squad like that, that works great together, I think it's fair that you win something. And I think with Arsenal, first of all, my uncle is a huge Arsenal fan. So I will hate them to be better than us. So that's one really big reason. But
Okay.
I don't know. I just don't like this is going to sound so mean, and I don't mean it like that. But Arsenal's best players they have signed this season is Jesus and Zinchenko. And sorry, but those are two guys that City did not need. I know it's hard to say. I know it's very simplified. I know of course City needed them. I get that. But to me, what's really interesting is that Arsenal's greatest signings right now are people that City did not use. It's kind of the same with us when we got Sterling, um, and so therefore I just feel like City, based on how they perform, based on all of that, I think they deserve it more, and because of that, I would rather want City to win.
Quick thoughts on that, Warren? City or Arsenal?
Um, I don't want City to win for selfish reasons because I'm just over it. City winning. City
Same.
wins the Premier League.
Yeah,
Blah. It's getting boring. It's getting boring. Sorry to say. It's just it's you're gonna watch the Premier League every season. Why watch 39, 38 weeks of football knowing City's gonna win? It's freaking boring.
Yeah.
Um, I would. I've said it from the beginning. I want if Liverpool can't win it, I would want Arsenal to win it. But that was before the Liverpool Arsenal match. Now I don't want either of them to win.
Also,
I'd
Richard,
rather I
can I?
could rather have Chelsea than Chelsea. Why not
I'm
Chelsea?
down for that. We have it right here. We have it right here. Chelsea is winning.
Nah, I'm not.
No,
I'm
I
not
think
down
it's
for that
also
one.
the two. I think it's also the two teams you're getting me. If you would get me Tottenham or United or Newcastle, I would have picked
Yeah, it
them.
depends on the two teams that you're
Yeah.
giving, and between those two, I wouldn't want either to win now. But if I have to choose between the two, I'd go Arsenal.
So it's your fault, Richard. Come with some better teams that we all want to win. No, but I have a quick question for you, Richard, with the Leeds match. Sorry, I know we're going to the next match, but just quickly, do you think Jesse March will survive this season as manager?
Oh, I think for sure. I mean, remember Leeds' previous manager was Marcelo Bielsa. I mean, a legend to football in general. I mean, the impact he's had and so many influences he's had in so many managers is great. I mean, Pep Guardiola, um, Cholo, Pochettino. It goes on. So I think
Hmm.
he is finding his footing, and I think he hasn't had the best games here and there, but I think he's the best person to sort of like develop Leeds, because I think we also need to remember that Jesse Marsh was also under Ralph Rangnick in terms of developing Red Bull, who was a team who were teams that no one knew about, and now they're teams that are performing well at the Champions League on
Mm-hmm.
level. So if there is anyone that can, make a team that changed from nothing to someone that's good in terms of the top performing leagues like UEFA Champions League, Jesse Marsh is your guy. So yeah, I think he is the guy for them. Yeah, I guess with that, we'll jump on to the next game. Our second last game we're going to be talking about tonight, which is the Aston Villa versus Chelsea match. Oh, jeez. If I had a time,
Let's go.
I wouldn't be speaking about this, and the fact that our channel has taken the new sort of like snow blue color by Warren. I'm not happy about that too. So jumping
I'll
onto
make
this,
it red in. I'll make it red in 3 weeks' time. Don't worry.
I'd love to see that happen. Rebranding, but
Not
yeah,
gonna.
Chelsea had about 60% of the possession throughout the game. They had less amount of shots on target compared to Aston Villa. Chelsea had 4 shots on target. Aston Villa had 7 shots on target, and yeah, it seemed like attack. They weren't too aggressive, but I'm assuming that they scored Mason Mount and scored his 2
Got both
goals.
goals.
Attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Andres, want to tell us your thoughts on how your team bashed Aston Villa?
I would
Come
love
on,
to
Brad.
say
You know
that
you want to
it
do
was
it.
part of being a genius, I would love to say that, and I would love to say that we're just amazing. But honestly, this match came down to 2 things. It came down to Mount, and it came down to Tyrone Mings being really, really bad on his position. The first goal that Mount scores is Mings making a terrible mistake. I don't remember quite what he did, but he did something where Mount got the ball and scored. The second goal was Mings making a mistake on Mount, so Mount got a free kick and Mount scored on that. So both goals are Mount scoring because Mings made a mistake. Um, and of course, I believe we won because we were the best teams. And at the end of the day, when you are great, when you are a big team, you have to use when other teams are not doing great. So I believe that we
Yes.
were the best teams. I truly believe we were the best teams in this match. But at the end of the day, when you really cook it down to just the goals, it was because Mings made mistakes and Mount used those mistakes.
Me now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I just want to comment quickly on Graham Potter and his role at Chelsea and what a turnaround he's made. Like, the first game against Zagreb, everybody was like, we don't know about Potter coming to Chelsea. Maybe it was a bad move. But even people like Mason Mount is beginning to flourish again under Potter. Before that, I mean, we were asking where's Mount this whole season. I mean, Jorginho obviously penalties, Aubameyang is scoring, Sterling. I mean, yeah, and he was great under and Thomas, but I really dig the relationship that not Thomas, Graham Potter has with this new Chelsea team. How he has fit it in like a glove. Wouldn't surprise me if some of those Brighton, Trossard, and um, Feldman and those people come over to Chelsea in January. I won't be surprised. Um, I can see it happening. But just commenting, I didn't watch the game per se. Villa has the ability to, limit some teams like City and other teams, but Chelsea is just they're becoming the Chelsea that I enjoyed watching last season at the beginning of last season. Before that little downward spiral. But Graham Potter is doing amazing work with Chelsea, and I'm worried about Steven Gerrard and Villa. Yes, he's getting draws. He's got a couple of draws now, but he hasn't gotten any wins, and that bothers me. And I wouldn't want to see Gerrard go, but something needs to happen with Villa, because you can't depend on draws only, to get you. Granted, they're not at the bottom of the league, but they're not in the top half, and that's worrisome.
I
Yeah, I
think
mean,
I'm going to be bold right here and say I think Gerrard will be sacked before January.
yeah. Look, in terms of their results, I mean, they've lost 5 games, drew 3 times, and only won 2 games the entire season. So just something isn't clicking. Last season they looked really well under a shape that Gerard kind of adopted from Jurgen Klopp. But yeah, this time they're just not working. Injuries and so many multiple factors contributing to him not performing well. But yeah, I guess with
Yeah,
that, yeah,
and there's one more thing. Everybody was so excited about Coutinho coming back to the Premier League, and yes, at the beginning of last season, he had this little fire in his belly where he started scoring from his natural, what did they call him? The what was his
magician,
nickname?
The
Coutinho,
magician
magician.
out of the box.
magician.
Yeah.
Yes, he was doing magic tricks with his feet and scoring goals left, right, and center, and then he just fizzled out. And you just didn't hear from Coutinho again until the Man City versus Aston Villa, the last match of the last season. And he scored. And then this season, when he's now permanent now from Barcelona, he made the loan move permanent. Um, it's like, where is this guy? And that is supposed to be their star.
Yeah.
And it's nothing is happening there. It's like he's a blimp on the radar. And I'm worried. I'm worried about Villa. I'm worried about Gerrard. And hopefully, I mean, they didn't have the best of fixtures, but I mean, we can't. You need to win these small games, and it's if you can't, then you're gonna be knee deep in trouble before the half of the season is over. And yeah, hopefully you guys are wrong about him getting sacked. I wouldn't want to see him get sacked, but I mean, it does look like a reality right now.
Yeah, I guess with that we'll jump on to the last game that we'll be reviewing for this week. Finally, it's been a long time. We can't wait to talk about, obviously Liverpool having performed well. I mean, before the game, I think a lot of us thought that Liverpool, yes, we won against Rangers, but it was Rangers, and listen, it's City, they're the best, like Arsenal, we might not win, and the fact that we were able to win is amazing, thanks to that Allison assist to Salah and that amazing turn on was it Cancelo. But let's quickly talk about the stats before we actually go into the detail of the game. City dominated possession. Obviously, we know both of these teams really, really want possession because that's how they can control the game. I mean, if the opposition doesn't have the ball, City had six shots on target. Liverpool only had 2 shots on target, both coming from Salah. And obviously, when it comes to shots, Man City had more. I mean, Virgil van Dijk's clearances and Alisson's saves really, really helped us. I mean, thank God we have these two guys and we spent a lot to get them on our team. So looks like, I mean, we don't have oil money, but the little money we have really has a lot of, goes a
Little
long
money you have. Oh, come on. Like, Liverpool is one of the richest clubs in the world. Relax.
Yeah, Warren, just jump on
Uh,
the bragging train.
like you said at the beginning, like coming into this match, everybody, even people that I would talk to on WhatsApp and my Facebook and at work and people
So,
that watch football, people were like, we were worried because yes, we won 7-1 against Rangers, but we won 9-0 against Bournemouth, and we still went into like a downward spiral. So that didn't say much to me. And then it was Rangers, but if we looked at our squad, the injuries, Trent wasn't there, Diaz wasn't there. We were worried. Matip wasn't there. It's like we didn't have our strongest 11, and look how they performed. Like, all right, I'll be giving Van Dijk some crap, but I will give him his due. Van Dijk did great. Gomez,
yeah,
what a surprise! Gomez was
shocker.
Milner. What? Get out of
Crazy.
here! But honestly, everybody clicked. Everybody, the midfield worked great together. The forwards were, even when Nunes came on, even though he didn't score anywhere, did that selfish thing where he should have passed. He had such an impact. I mean, we are the only, Liverpool is the only team for 2022 that could beat Man City, and that should say a lot. But I'm happy we won,
Yeah.
and we are back in the top half of the league. And if we win our next match, we go above Man United, and that is just cherry on top of the cake. Trent is back. Just sad about Jota now, and that's the one thing that's bothering me is all these injuries. We get back to a groove, and then there's injuries and injuries and injuries. But not taking anything away from City, they played a massive, massive, massive game.
Yeah,
But um,
goal disallowed.
the goal got disallowed, which I was happy about. But I mean, they played dirty as well. Bernardo should have been fouled, should have been guarded there. And it is what it is, I guess. And happy that we won. And Arsenal should thank us.
Andreas, do you want to talk about how obviously City looked in terms of their formation, which players they had? Obviously, they were playing in a back three in this game, and they had people that they don't usually have in their starting lineup, which is Nathan Ake and Akanji as one or two of the three centre backs at the back. What do you think that impacted in how they played this time, choosing to play back there against Liverpool?
I think it was not taking anything away from Liverpool because this was great defensive, great midfield, and the stats that you have with City being much in control of possession, but Liverpool
Yes,
still winning, that
more
just
shot.
shows Liverpool being really great defensive and both midfield and defense. But to your question, I think this is kind of another example of Pep coming with all his different. Let's try this. Let's try this. So, like of course Liverpool only winning with what one goal is that will show that City did great defensive and they did not do bad, but like there were so many times where Salah had the ball one on one
Yeah,
against the keeper and he missed it like at least 4 or 5 times, and if he had scored a lot of them, Liverpool would have won 5-0 honestly. so
yeah,
so I think the only reason they were not goals was because Salah was not good enough in those specific situations. Of course, he was at the end of the match, but in those situations, and to me that just shows that City was not doing good enough on the defensive. And yeah, that to me was pretty clear. Also, quickly with oh no, not again.
Shut up.
No, also quickly with Liverpool, I really liked the way that he took. I think it was Salah, and then took Alexander Arnold in like the last 2 3 minutes. I really like that he kind of switched them around because I think we have talked a lot about Alexander Arnold in the defensive problems and all that kind of stuff. So I really think it was fun seeing him. Of course, not much happened with it, but I really think it was fun seeing him kind of play this more offensive role. And I think that's something Klopp should try and see if he could use more. But yeah, I think Liverpool, of course, did great, but I think City really messed up in the defensive.
Yeah, that tweak that he made, I think that did them in. That tweak at the beginning where Pep was trying something new, I think he should have just stuck with what he was used to, because why fix something that's not broken? By the way, I've got load shedding right now, but the lights is still on. Ding. But yeah, I've got a light there that burns while it's load shedding, so problem solved. But I wanted to say something. Haaland. Let's talk about the fact that Liverpool is the only team that could stop Haaland from scoring or getting an assist.
Hmm?
Let's just talk about that. I am
yeah.
just proud. Even though I'm hoping this is the beginning of a kind of like a roll that we're on. We beat Rangers 7-1. We beat City. We've got West Ham next. Then Forest. This is where we can move up on the table.
Hmm?
Winning these next two matches is going to be crucial for us to just get back into that top four.
Yeah, I think we could have very much easily either drawn or beaten Arsenal as well. So I think we are reaching that level of us getting our identity back, even though we're having these injuries. And then just one last thing I wanted to talk about is I saw someone put out an argument that maybe Klopp should have considered not putting Milner in the starting lineup, have Fabinho back as our sort of like centre back, because obviously Konate
Mm.
wasn't there, and then we have Gomez as our right back because he's kind of been doing well. He had an assist in the previous game. He didn't do that because obviously we'd had two central defensive midfielders in I think Henderson and Thiago. I mean, he didn't do that and he still won, so thank God for that. But I mean, he had some balls to put Milner and James on that right side against dangerous players like Foden and obviously Haaland. They've been having an amazing partnership in the two previous games. So Klopp made a risk, it paid off. So props to him. 8 out of 10, amazing game. Yeah.
So quickly, I want
Yes,
to ask you, because with Salah, I really think he messed up a lot of times. Like, he
you are
really
right.
had so many chances. So I want to know, do you guys think that he is on the level that he should be, or do you think that this goal was the beginning of him maybe beginning to
I
get?
think I think Salah is coming back. He
Mm,
scored a hat trick against Rangers. I mean, it was Rangers, but I mean a hat trick within 6 minutes.
mm,
That's better than what Son did against Leicester.
mm,
So I mean, why not give Salah the credit where the credit is due? Because
mm.
people were praising Son for having such a bad start to the season, and then he got the hat trick, and everybody was praising him. But because it's Salah now, you know, and he's playing for Liverpool now, obviously he can't get the credit. And then he scored against City. If it wasn't for his goal, we wouldn't have won. So I feel like he's coming back into
But
the Salah that we.
don't you think there were too many chances that he missed in that
Yes,
match?
there was too many
I
chances, but
agree, yeah.
at the end of the day, the what a chance that counted got in, and that's if you don't get chances, if you don't get chances, you don't get the chance to score the goal. So at least there were chances. It's not like we didn't have any shots on target or there was no attempts. If had no shots on targets and there was no attempts, then I would have said, okay, it was a lucky win for us. But there were chances, and where there's a chance for a goal. That's how
Yeah,
I view it.
and goals is like, when you score goals, we all know how much that will affect you.
You
Like, when
can't score
you
goals
start
without
scoring goals,
chances. So that's how it
but
is.
the moment you start to scoring goals, we all know how much that will affect you to do even
Exactly.
better. Like, there's
Yeah,
really
the
not a lot
momentum,
of,
yes. Momentum
yeah,
going forward, yes.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, I think I'd like to give a different take from that. I think that's why actually have this hashtag that is Salah back, because I think Liverpool is one of the best teams in terms of having creativity. I mean, Firmino being a false nine, so much creativity for the two forward players, then being Mane and
What's happening?
I can see him either, so it's not you, Ron.
Did we lose him?
No, I think he's there. What happened, Richard?
Is something is wrong.
I think he's alive. That's a good start.
Just technical difficulties.
Yeah. So let's just talk while he's gone, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh,
So yes, so I agree that there was a lot of chances
yeah.
for Salah, and yes, he should have converted more of them. But at the end of the day, there's teams in the league that doesn't even get chances. Look at West Ham. So as I say, and it's City. I mean, it's Manchester City. I mean, you don't really that many teams can score against them unless you're Newcastle.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
so yes, I get that the neutrals will be like, oh yeah, oh Salah, he had so many chances to convert, but he didn't. But at the end of the day, yeah, I don't know what happened to Richard,
And
but
let's
at the
give
end
him
of
a
the
few
day,
minutes.
yeah, at the end of the day, the chances were created,
Hmm.
and the goal went in, and without chances, there's no goals. So as long as there's a chance, there's a prospect for a goal, and
Yeah.
that's how I view it.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think like there will always be trolls, and I think saying that he is not doing well at all, I don't think that's fair. But I do think it's fair to argue that it is kind of worrying. That I get that, of course, getting to the chances, I get that in itself is great, of course, but there just was so many chances that he missed. But I
Look,
mean, at the end of the day, he scores, and hopefully going forward, that can help. But let's say he only had those four chances. Let's say he didn't get the fifth or sixth or whatever chance it was, then it would have ended 0-0. And that's like, I get when he scores a goal, of course, that's what matters. I'm just worried that if this continues, I don't think it will. I think that now he scored. I think he has gotten some momentum. But I'm just saying, let's say we are going to Real Madrid in the semi-final in Champions League, and he get all these chances, but he doesn't score. That's where the problem starts.
I just think that at the end of the second half of last season, when his team lost against Senegal in the African Cup of Nations, and then they lost against him for the World Cup qualifier. After that, he looked like a broken man. And I feel
Yeah.
like he's slowly but surely now coming back. And it was the contract thing that was hanging over everybody's head. Oh, everybody was talking about in the media the contract is signed now. And I just feel like, Liverpool they played every single possible game of last season. It's just this fatigue. There's this fatigue and injuries, and that's just why we're getting all these injuries. And um, Liverpool will bounce back. This is Liverpool. They will bounce back. There's no way Liverpool will finish at the bottom of the table. It's not happening. It's
Yeah, yeah.
really top four. I mean, I'm not saying that Liverpool is going to win the league. I mean, that's impossible. But I don't think they out of the Champions League race, whatever. And I
No.
mean, that's all you can hold on to now. Unless something drastic happens with Arsenal and City at the top and they start losing points like crazy, I don't see Liverpool winning the title, but Champions
But
League
top
for
four is
sure.
fine. Like top four is fine,
Top four
and
is fine.
doing good in Champions League is the most important. There he is.
Yes.
But just to end on this, yeah, I think at the end of the day, like Liverpool won, and that's what matters. But I was kind of worried seeing all that with Salah. But I think
Who is
uh,
where is
oh, that's my
everybody
nephew.
and
Oh no, that's my
who's that?
nephew. Have you seen
Oh,
the
hi.
picture of the picture of Abu in as Ginny? That was him making that.
Oh, I
So,
see.
yeah,
Awesome.
he's my secret guy to make memes. No,
Nice to have him on.
but yeah, what I wanted to say was that with Liverpool, a win is a win, and that's what matters. But I just was worried when seeing Salah. But I think like he has scored before against Rangers as well. Like I think it's going to be good now. But just looking straightly at this match alone, I was kind of worried. But it looks good. I also think City's defense was a big problem, and I do feel like that was a part of Liverpool also getting all the chances. But at the
Yes,
end of the day,
City's defense this season hasn't been that great. They've been conceding goals like crazy.
yeah,
And that's not the City that was last season where you couldn't even get past Edison. I mean, he was your go-to goalkeeper for fantasy also because he kept so many clean sheets, and I don't think he's got that many clean sheets this season. Excuse me.
yeah, yeah, agree. You
Um,
want to say something, Richard?
no, I
Thank you
guess
for
that
watching.
really
Something
honestly
about
sums
Salah? You forgot about that?
Nah,
Okay.
just that. I was gonna say that Liverpool are one of the best teams in terms of the amount of volume of chances that they get, and I feel like if we had a player like Haaland, we'd be scoring. I mean, he'd be scoring 6 goals per game or 5 or something like that because of the volume we get from Trent. Like I said, Firmino and I mean even Mane and then Mane and Salah could assist each other. So I think, jeez, today has been just a weird day. So yeah, I think that'll sum it up.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you everyone for watching. Please comment again. Watch, obviously. Please like and subscribe. And this has been an awesome episode. We are having a new feature, which is having preview for UEFA Champions League. That episode should be on Friday, I believe, unless
Review.
anything changes.
Review.
Yeah. Oh yeah, review. Yes, and yeah, that should be it. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Cheers.